Welcome to Thinking Women,
the intelligent conversation show.
Woohoo! Welcome. So this is episode 4. It's not the one we thought we were going to do. It's a lockdown special, but we're absolutely delighted to have Sarah Law and Amanda Williams with us, and obviously me and Lou.
Hi everybody, and thank you ladies for joining us. So obviously Mags and Lou, we should have been in the studio last week recording our programme, but obviously we can't be, so we're coming live from our lounges for you. And again, thanks to Sarah, and Sarah's going to talk to us about, well, how I put it to her was how not to put on 10 pounds and how not to become an alcoholic during this lockdown. So Sarah is a naturopathic nutritionist and a pro bikini competitor. So she's absolutely the best person to talk to us about this and to how to help us. And Mags is going to talk to Amanda.
Yeah, so Amanda Williams is another Cornish work from homer. She's amazing. So Amanda does GDPR, so she's a data specialist, and she's also very involved with the opera scene down here as well. So we've got a real mix there, and we're going to be exploring how do you balance those things, and how do we just cope and get on with our day-to-day life when we can't get out and do the normal things. But first, what's been in our inbox, Lou?
Well, what has been setting my inbox on fire is actually to do with how, really what we're talking about today as much as anything, is how we're coping just on a day-to-day basis with ourselves, getting up in the morning and then proceeding through the day, really. And I just know that so many people, and I did this for the first week, so many people really struggle with what to wear because it's so easy, isn't it, just to kind of stay, well, actually in your pajamas, possibly, or maybe if you are doing some exercise, which we're going to come and talk about later, which is really important. If you do your exercise, do you just stay in your sweaty gym gear all day? Mags, do you?
Well, absolutely. And I know there's been the online stuff that people have been doing, but other people have been getting out and doing their own thing as well. But do you do your exercise in your normal clothes, or do you actually put something else on? Do you structure your day? It's an interesting one. I mean, for me, I've been getting out. I've been lucky. So we've been out doing our runs, doing our walks, and that's been great. And then coming home and absolutely putting some makeup on and just trying to get on with some sort of structure, which has been key. So what about you, Lou? How have you been getting on?
Well, I had a disastrous first week, but after that, but I actually have been quite used to working from home. So my top tip, if I was going to give a top tip for now, but I'm going to give you one because this is how I've managed it, is I always do something called a miracle morning, and it comes from a book by a man called Hal Elrod. I found it really hard to say always, I don't know why. If you find that book, have a look at it, and basically what he says is how you start your day will be how your day goes on. So if you start your day really strong and really well, you'll actually have a really great day. In essence, if you start your day badly, you don't get up till midday, you sort of put the wrong socks on, that's how your day will go on. So I've followed that principle for years, and it works brilliantly, and it really, really works in these times as well. So what I do is I set my alarm, I get up at the normal time. Actually, that's a lie. I'm actually getting up 1 hour later than normal. But anyway, it's still morning. It's early morning. And I have my hot water, lemon and ginger. I meditate. Then I do some affirmations and some gratitude and a little bit of journaling and some yoga. And that kind of and then I have my shower, actually, and my breakfast. So that sets me up for the day. And I promise you, that's an absolute winner, because I've done my exercise, I've done my positive mindset, I've had my shower, and I put my makeup on. And for me, that's really important. It might not be important for other people, but if I put my makeup on, I feel like I'm me, and I feel more professional to work.
It's a routine, isn't it? And I think, the parallel for me and the girls getting up really early. I like to cook dinner first thing, like literally sort of 7 a.m. and I'm making some dinner and checking in with the news as well and finding out what's going on. And we'll come on to Sarah and Amanda in a minute and ask them about how they get through it. So that's the one thing. And in terms of, just generally, what are we wearing? What are our outfits? So we talked about makeup, we talked about routine. But, are you, obviously we're all dressing up today because it's Thinking Women, of course. Amanda's looking beautiful, as is Sarah. So there's that. But, generally, how are you getting on at home?
Well, I'm fine because I think because I've worked from home for a while, like I said earlier, I do make myself put my clothes on, and it makes such a difference. The first week I wasn't, and I just felt, mentally, it's all about the mental thing. And if I'm in my pajamas, I feel like a slob, and I behave like a slob, and I slob all day, and I don't really do anything. Just by putting my makeup and my clothes on, I feel like Louise Abel, entrepreneur, if you like.
Yeah, it's those reference points, isn't it? It's like what you wear is what you are. So it really does make a difference. Yeah. Amazing. So, Amanda, coming over to you. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's really nice to get dressed up, actually, and put a bit of the face on. It's been, really makes a nice change.
Good, it's good. Yeah. So, just wanted to talk to you about data, because you're a data specialist. So we'll get the techie stuff out of the way first. Marketing at the moment is a key thing because people can only do that. So there's work we can do, but a lot of people stuck at home and reaching out to people. So in terms of what we can do and what we can't do, reaching out to businesses, have you got any ideas on that? So what are your top tips?
Yeah, it's a really good point because there's so many shops at the moment that aren't able to trade because they've been shut for the time being, and that's made life difficult. And it's really tempting to just go online and put your stock online and try and sell it. And that's great. And there's some really great websites out there that are kind of made for this sort of thing. So that's fantastic. But there are a few things you really need to think about before you start getting too excited with all the kind of tech stuff and the clever bits that you can do. So I'll just give you kind of 4 things to do because the GDPR, I mean, I'm a nerd, I'll be honest, I'm a nerd. And it's not everybody's idea of their favourite thing to talk about. They're wrong, clearly. So I'll just give you 4 things to think about. So the first thing is you should really learn about what it is, do some training. There's lots of things online, go onto YouTube, look at the ICO website is a really, really good start. So try and find out all the things you need to do. So start with some training. And then the second thing is if you've got a website, have you got a privacy notice on it? That's really, really important. It's one of the key things you can have to help you comply with data protection legislation. And it's a bit like, I often say, it's a little bit like when I come into your business, whether it's by the phone or through the door or on the website, it's like I've got a little invisible notice on my head which says, what are you going to do with my personal data? And the explaining what you're going to do, why do you need it, what you're going to collect, what you're going to use it for, who you're going to share it with. And it's quite specified what you need to write on that privacy notice, and you'll find information about that online. But you can write it in your own words. You can write it in, and I've seen cartoons of it, I've seen videos and infographics. So it doesn't all have to be, tiny, tiny print, written like a contract.
Making sure that it's actually there.
Make sure it's there. Make sure it's got in it what it needs to have in it. The third thing is just work out who you're allowed to market to, because it's really tempting just to start emailing random people. And again, it depends on, is your business a B2B business or is it a B2C business? Because there are slightly different guidelines to each. So just make sure that if you need consent to market, that you have that consent. If they're your customers, you don't necessarily need consent, but you do need to do some other things. And the other thing I often say, it's a bit like, you remember when you were at school and you did your maths homework and you gave the homework in and it was the right answer, and the teacher said, I want to see your workings out. Now that's where I always fell down, you see. I might have had the right answer. And data protection is a bit like that. You need to be able to show your workings out, to why you decided to do these certain things. So just remember that as well. So work out who you can market to.
It's quite tempting, isn't it, to just go online and think, oh, actually, I'm just going to reach out to anybody.
Yeah, that's right.
What are the rules? Is it that you've got to have there's got to be a specific business need, and are you allowed to contact them once or twice? What are the rules?
Well, it depends. I mean, that's one of my favourite answers for GDPR. It depends. So it depends on whether you're reaching out to businesses or to consumers. If you're reaching out to consumers that you've never done business with or they've never been your customers, you do need their opt-in consent. And you can't ask them for that consent. You can't say, please may we have your consent to market, because that's deemed to be marketing in itself. So there are some sort of checks and balances. If you're doing business to business, you can reach out to people, and that's under this the legal basis of legitimate interest.
Right.
But again, you need to have done your homework for that. There's lots of advice online, lots of advice from the ICO. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to sort of walk them through it.
That's amazing. That's really helpful. And then just going back to the working from home thing. So
Yes.
you're very involved in the opera scene down in Cornwall.
Well, I'm going to just correct you there slightly. I was involved in putting on an opera, and it was going to be in June. And unfortunately, with everything that's happened, it's not going to happen this year. Now, it is going to happen next year. Punchy Opera, we're going to perform The Elixir of Love at Park House. And unfortunately, you know, we're not able to do that. But we will be back in 2021. But I do a lot of other kind of fun things as well. It's not all just about data. It's kind of fun things too.
And that's amazing, you know, having those two different parts to your career. And how do you balance those? So do you split the time between them, or is it just about priority and what needs to be done?
It's a bit of a mashup, to be honest. I find myself drafting legal documents one minute, and literally then on Canva making pictures look pretty for another client another minute. And I really like that, because I'm a nerd, but I'm quite an extrovert nerd, and I'm a creative, and I love creating. I do a podcast. I run Instagram accounts for people and help them with their marketing strategy as well. So I'm a bit of both. I'm a marketer and the data protection nerd.
So you're used to being at home using IT and doing all that stuff.
Yeah, that's right. And I love Zoom. It's great. I must say, I've worked on Zoom a lot. I don't know about you guys. I'm on it more now, and it's quite tiring, I must admit. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm sleeping a lot, actually. And I quite like a little nap, you know, a little siesta in the daytime. Anyone else, or is it just me?
Yeah, but anyway, this is a good opportunity to move over to Sarah, so our health specialist. What do you think about napping in the day then?
It can be beneficial, absolutely, and it's that, you know, it's that fine line of getting the right amount and not turning it into a full-on 3-hour game over type situation. But that little bit of extra, you know, energy that it can give you can be really beneficial for some people. So yeah, absolutely, if it works for you, it works for you.
And what would you say, Sarah?
Yeah, I did catch a few minutes yesterday in the sunshine, and I think with everything that's going on, the sunshine has been a real blessing, hasn't it? It's been lovely.
I just want to ask Sarah again, it's about eating. So I can't
say that again. You cut out.
Sorry, have I fallen off?
You cut out.
Got low.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
I think you were saying, what do you think about eating, Sarah?
I love eating.
Does anybody else? But does anybody else do this at the moment?
I think the thing is, like, it's so easy.
Oh, I'm cutting out, I think.
Low.
Is it
My She's frozen. She's gone.
No, do you want to carry on then, Sarah, and Lou will come back when.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it, where when you're at home all day, every day, it's very easy to find yourself with your head in the fridge 24/7. And I can say that from experience, because I've been there. It's like you just keep going back to the fridge thinking something dramatically wonderful is going to pop out at you, and you're like, nope, it's all the same stuff. So it's really easy to get into that habit of just constantly grazing all the time. And I think it's really important to set yourself boundaries and, you know, treat it like a normal day, treat it like a normal work day. And it does start exactly like Lou said from the beginning. It starts from your morning. It does, it causes a ramp in our blood sugar, and our bodies recognize that as being really, really dangerous. So what our bodies are equipped to do is go, okay, right, I'm going to take the sugar out of your bloodstream because it's dangerous, and I'm going to put it in the storage sites that I can, to the liver and the muscles for kind of when we need them. But what it often does, it gets a bit overzealous, and it takes too much sugar out of the bloodstream and stores the rest of it in fat, which is not ideal. Also, we get this massive drop side. And when we get with a decent break, good fibers are going to balance everything, because those things are like putting logs on a fire, essentially, really slow, steady, even burn, rather than just refined carbohydrates and caffeine, which are going to cause this big rise and then the dip the other side.
We've got Lou back.
I'm back. Sorry, lovely. I don't know. I think my internet cut out. I hope that's going to look, it's probably going to look awful. But anyway, oh, where have I gone? Oh, gosh.
You're still there.
You're there.
I'm here. Okay.
We thought you'd just gone to raid the fridge or get the wine.
Yeah, you just made me think. So yeah, talk about the wine. The other thing that's happening to all of us is, and I had to include myself, I'm really trying not to, but I think it's because we think we've got all this day ahead of us. We don't have a schedule to get up for. People are literally going mad for the gin and the wine.
And the sun's been out as well. It doesn't help. You feel like you're on holiday.
How do we stop that, or should we stop that? Is it okay? Maybe you can tell us it's okay.
It's moderation again, isn't it? It's really about everything in moderation, and it's always thinking, how does it make you feel? So in the moment, it feels great, and we feel wonderful. But the next day, how do you feel? And it's when, the next day normally hits that you just feel a little bit groggy or a bit under the weather or a bit tired or a bit miserable. And it's being able to recognize that. And I truly believe that I know that humans are driven by pain and pleasure. They're the things that humans are driven by. And Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, and I love reading his stuff. And basically, it's like if you can attach massive pain to something, it will stop you doing it again and again and again. And then if you can associate pleasure with not doing it, then that's going to encourage you to do it. So we're driven by those two things. So that's why when people have had a really bad experience with alcohol, where they've given themselves like alcohol poisoning, they are very good at abstaining for quite a decent period of time, because they remember the feeling and how painful it was to go through that and how they felt the next day. And they're like, I'm never doing that again. And then eventually we kind of forget that feeling and we go back to it. But if we can always remember that, it's about the awareness of how it makes you feel. And I really think it's a good idea to ask yourself questions all the time. So for me, I always ask myself, if I'm reaching for the biscuit tin or for the glass of wine or the gin, by having this, how am I going to feel afterwards? Or how am I going to feel tomorrow? Is it going to make me feel good in the moment? Yes, that instant pleasure. But the long term, how is it actually going to make me feel?
And also, Sarah, at the moment, it's about our immune system as well. So clearly, we've got to look after ourselves. So any tips for, the top foods that will boost our immune system?
Yeah, absolutely. So antioxidants galore, a good amount of antioxidants. So greens, I take like a powder every morning, which has got greens, purples, blues, reds, like literally everything under the sun in it. Things like that just really support every system in your body are vital, because our bodies are made from what we eat. And I think we often forget that. I think people just have this massive disassociation with thinking that what they put into their mouths does anything. But it forms every single cell of our bodies. It makes our immune system function and everything works. So that's really important. And then the second thing to really think about is the majority of our immune system is actually located in our gut. It's in our gut lining. So if we're loading things into our gut that aren't really supporting our health and that are making our guts inflamed and disrupting the really fine balance of good bacteria against bad bacteria that we have in our gut, that can really weaken our immune systems. Because what happens is, if you're eating foods that are causing inflammation in the gut lining or causing these little holes in the gut lining, undigested proteins can escape through and stimulate your immune system. And that actually leads to autoimmune conditions over time, because it's like your immune system goes a bit haywire. So it ramps up one side of your immune system, which attacks your own body, and it dampens down the other side of the immune system, which is the part that keeps you healthy and well. And like you said, in this time, we need to think about that more than ever. So loads of greens, loads of colourful fruits and veggies, absolutely vital. And removing foods that you're getting good probiotics in, prebiotics to feed the probiotics, which are the good bacteria we need for our guts to function. Really,
Lou, are you still there?
I'm still here. Sorry, my internet's unstable, but I'm back. Just very quickly, I hope this is going to turn out looking okay. But it's all about energy as well, isn't it? And I think sometimes we can get into that mindset of like, oh, we're just at home and we're just not doing very much. But I assume you should eat energy-giving foods and do things that give energy as well, like exercise.
Yeah, because you know what it's like. The less you do, the less energy you have. And I got injured and I had to sit and watch classes for a year because I tore all the ligaments in my knee. So I used to go to college and sit and watch, and I'd come home shattered, absolutely shattered, more so than if I'd been dancing all day every day, because just that energy of just sitting there is just draining. And our bodies are meant to move. You know, we're we need to get oxygen through our veins and to our muscles. So it's getting up and moving is so important, and eating the right foods to help with energy. And again, what we often do is we go for the quick fixes that cause that instant energy, but they don't give the prolonged energy. So it's removing the, you know, artificial and refined crap that a lot of us live on and have in the cupboards, and the refined carbohydrates and the instant fixes, and instead replacing with foods that are actually going to fuel your body in the right way rather than just mindlessly fill it.
And Amanda, you were mentioning earlier how tired you feel by being on Zoom and doing these meetings like this. Like in theory, they shouldn't be that exhausting, but maybe there's some connection there as well with, you know, using technology, and that make us tired and sap our energy.
Yeah, there's blue light. Yeah, 100%. So devices in general give off a lot of blue light, and that's actually quite draining, and it also really disrupts our sleep hormones, melatonin. And what we often do, again, is a lot of us may be on our phones late at night, or checking emails, or on our laptops, or doing Zoom calls later in the evening. And that basically blocks melatonin production, which is our sleep hormone. So that can then disrupt everything and then cause that energy kind of disruption. But it is also that, you know, that blue light and electromagnetic frequencies, all of that can be very draining on the body. So it's recognizing that, and again, going outside in the sunshine, getting in daylight, putting your bare feet on the grass, grounding yourself and getting rid of all that kind of electromagnetic energy can work wonders for your energy.
It's a good reason that the government said that we can go outdoors to exercise for a short period every day, because it is just vital to mental health. I think this whole lockdown, it's a balance between obviously the physical health and the virus control, and the mental health implications as well. And they're giving us the structure and the ability to actually look after our mental health. So it's important we need to do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the vitamin D, we need it. You know, we need it for a healthy immune system. We need vitamin D, which comes directly from sunlight. And even if there's not glorious sun, even through the clouds, you get that vitamin D production in your skin. So it's vital.
So thank you guys for that. That's been amazing. Obviously, we're really interested in everyone's views at home. So please put your comments over, text us, email us, just get in contact and let us know what you thought of today. I think it's been good. It's been invigorating. It's been a change. And what do you think, Lou?
Yeah, thank you, Amanda and Sarah, for being our guinea pigs on this one.
Our pleasure.
I had to get dressed up.
You're amazing. You're both amazing and inspirational women. So thank you so much for joining our show. And yeah, out there, if you've enjoyed what we've done during this time where we can't get in the studio and do our normal format, if you want us to do this again, Max and I are happy to do it. I know we can have some other amazing guests. So let us know and get in touch on Instagram, Facebook. That's it, isn't it? Where else are we? Twitter. All of those platforms that we're on.
Yeah, everything.
Oh, what about TikTok? You've got to get yourselves on TikTok, everyone.
I might
maybe
be old.
next project.
I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I'm like confused.
Thinking women on TikTok.
Okay, well, thanks, guys, and we will see you all again soon.
Take care. Bye.